There's a rope swing tied to a sycamore tree at the river's edge, just Bill and me. Billy waits till I yell, the coast is clear. That's just the way the river goes round here. Me and Bill grew up the best of friends. We knew every inch of that river bend. If there's buried treasure, we put it there. That's just the way the river goes round here. That's just the way the river goes. That's just the way the river goes round here. Had my first kiss down on that river bank from a sophomore named Nora Jane. She's got 4 kids now, that's what you hear. That's just the way the river goes round here. And everybody knows her brother Steve. He got 18 months for selling weed. Guess it was a pretty good crop last year. That's just the way the river goes round here. That's just the way the river goes. That's just the way the river goes round here. River jumped its banks in 2001. The old timers say we were due that flood. Now the mud is gone, but not the fear. That's just the way the river goes round here. It's been 30 years since I've been gone. I said, hey Bill, why'd you stay so long? Billy laughs and hands me another beer. That's just the way the river goes round here. That's just the way the river goes. That's just the way the river goes round here. That's just the way the river goes. That's just the way the river goes round here, round here. All right. Start riding the boat.
You are listening to River City Folk, a weekly broadcast of live performance, musical influences, and interview this week at Cafe Artichoke in the Rose City of Portland, Oregon. Dan Weber is my guest today. Dan, this is your 3rd appearance on River City Folk. You've played twice before on the show, and it's been so interesting and enlightening to see your progress as a songwriter all over all these years. Your songs have always been great, but you've really moved into a new dimension, I think, and I think it's probably all the shows that you've done and all the traveling that you've done since you started on this quixotic adventure.
Yeah. Chaotic, quixotic, however you want to put it. Yeah, it's been interesting. I just I always say to people, it's like that first record. It was like I made that when I was already 40 something, like 45, maybe 42, and whatever it was, and it was. That's the first record you make, so you have this whole pent-up lifetime of songs, And then like your next bunch of songs is your second record is usually like what you write when you're driving around the country, and then your third record is like whether you're any good at songwriting or not. So that's what we're about to find out.
Well, I think the consensus is that you do quite well at that profession that you've carved out for yourself, even though these days none of us can get out and play much.
Yeah. There's a little. My tour was canceled. So the pandemic shut everything down like March 12th, and was my first day of the tour. So the whole shooting match.
But somehow you managed to get down south and record the album.
In the little town of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Yeah.
I love the title of that town, and I enjoyed thinking about you down there in the recording studio as you described it to me.
It was
place.
It was definitely rustic. It's my producer Rob Stroop, who did the first two records, moved down there, and at some point I was like, well, I don't know, let's just go down there. And then I asked Michael Henchman if he'd come with me because he'd been playing bass with me for a bit, so it just made sense. So we just decamped down there, and we'd record during the day, and we'd hit all the hot springs at night, and it was pretty cool.
And that gives me a chance to mention that indeed Michael Henchman is playing bass and singing harmony with Dan today. Michael Henchman is one of our favorites here at River City Folk and at Artichoke as well. Dan, you've got a recording for us to hear by a fellow I'm not really familiar with. I enjoyed all the recordings when I listened to them that we're going to hear this week that you chose. But how did you come across this fellow, Ben Bachner?
Ben is he was a fellow New Folk finalist at Kerrville several years ago. I met him just, around the campfire as you meet people in Kerrville, and he was such a cool guy and such an easy guy to like, and every one of his songs had a chorus that felt like a sing-along, and he was living in Eugene at the time. So we just hit it off and hung out, and we wanted to do some co-writing, and we had this whole idea of doing like a tour together, like a sort of a Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra bit, where we just kind of go back and forth. And then Ben tragically died of and I think it was a stroke, more or less, and a couple years back. And that song, Unknown Blessings, is the official song of I think might be the Kerrville Foundation. I think that's like their official theme song. They adopted it, so it's a beautiful song for hard times.
Looking forward to hearing it on River City Folk. This is Ben Bachner.
And they're already on their way, already on their way. Give thanks for unknown blessings, already on their way.
Last week it was in Kansas, today was Michigan. Can we just start over? Where do we begin? I've been looking hard for answers, but got lost along the way. Did you hear there was another shooting today? This time it was a father who said he loved his kids. Like always, the neighbors can't believe what he did. Last time it was a teenage boy who said he'd make those bullies pay. Did you hear there was another shooting today? Ever since Columbine, seems to happen all the time. No one knows what to do while it gets closer to me and you. From Fort Hood to Sandy Hook and Las Vegas now, it's a killing field of front page news we've grown immune to somehow. And the families left behind, they'll never be the same. Did you hear there was another shooting today? 'Cause ever since Columbine, it seems to happen all the time. Some say the solution is we should all pack a gun. But even I know 15 people that should never own one. Not in grocery stores and theaters, places we go to pray. Did you hear there was another shooting today? Charleston to Chattanooga and up to Virginia Tech, from El Paso to Orlando, and whichever one comes next. If there's a moral to the story, God help us find a way. Did you hear there was another shooting today? 'Cause ever since Columbine, it seems to happen all the time, and no one knows what to do while it gets closer to me and you, and the names keep on changing, but the story stays the same. Did you hear there was another shooting today? Did you hear there was another shooting today? 'Cause ever since Columbine, it seems to happen all the time.
Music that makes a difference on River City Folk. Dan Weber, my guest today, with a song called Ever Since Columbine. And he was preceded by a songwriter who's no longer with us, with a fine song called Unknown Blessings, a fellow by the name of Ben Bachner. Dan, that's a powerful piece of music. It's a well thought out, well constructed song, memorable. When you've played it in concert, have there been people that came up and gave you any questions, difficult questions about the song that might not have agreed with your viewpoint of it?
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, it seems like audiences are somewhat self-selective in a way, especially in the folk universe. So people mostly come at it from the same perspective. But I think the thing about the song is there's not a lot of, there's no finger wagging at someone saying you shouldn't. It's and I think that's the best part about the song is it toes that line between saying this is bad or this is good. It just lets people come up at their own conclusion.
And very well said. And it's a hard line to walk, that line of stating your belief without preaching.
Right.
So tough to do. Tough to do.
Yeah, I think I somehow succeeded at that. I'm not really entirely sure how, because there's got to be some mystery to songwriting. That
truly, when we do succeed at what we do, writing a song or delivering a song, either one, we never know exactly why it works. There's a magic in it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing that like keeps you picking up the guitar and writing stuff. And that's like when I started writing that, it was on CNN in the background, they said, "Oh, there was a shooting in Kalamazoo, Michigan today," and I was like, I had a guitar on at the time, which was made in Kalamazoo, Michigan, a Gibson. So I really was like, "Huh," and then I started writing it, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be difficult. I don't want to, this is not a topic that I really wanted to necessarily write about that day." And then I thought, well, I guess I have to write it, and so.
And we're so glad that you did. A powerful song. Thank you for sharing that with us so very much. You've got another recording for us to hear by somebody who's, I suppose you could say, more well-known than the last person that you selected. Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead, who certainly made an impact with that group for so long. This is a song called One More River to Cross, and I'm not familiar with this song either. What is it about this song of Mr. Weir's that really makes you stop and listen, Dan?
It kind of has a meditative thing to it. It's very it sort of embodies the river vibe in a way. And I since I just my new record's called The Way the River Goes, so it spoke to me that way. But the Dead were very important to me, and that's how I learned of so much music. Like, that's how I found out about Elizabeth Cotten or George Jones or Hank Williams, like Merle Haggard, all those, Willie Dixon, Reverend Gary Davis, like all those musicians I heard of through the Dead. That was sort of my musical education.
Interesting, because a lot of people feel exactly the same way. They were really a gateway artist to so many people who wouldn't be known otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, probably half their show was covers, so it was always fascinating. You might hear like Big Boy Pete one night and Satisfaction the next night, and I Fought the Law the next night. It was, it was a pretty chaotic bunch, obviously, but then you'd hear like Iko, and you'd say, "Wow, that's a cool song. Where'd that come from?" And then you end up like in the '50s listening to a Dixie Cups recording. It was cool. It's
Bob Weir on River City Folk with one more river to cross.
The Chicos, the Brazos, the wide Rio Grande, one more river to cross.
Guess I'm not young anymore, that happened fast. Where's the door? Somebody show me the way out. 'Cause I need some air, I need a drink, I'd like a kiss. Whatever you think, I just need some help right now. 'Cause there's no doubt I'm the kind of guy who gets depressed. I'll tell you why. Sometimes the rain just gets me down. What you gonna do when the rain comes down? What you gonna do if I stay around? Maybe cry or just laugh. I don't care what people say, I'm gonna love you anyway. Now what you gonna do about that? They say look before you leap, but I'm so ready to fly, 'cause I want more than just getting by. Not politics or religion, those are just opinions. I want the thing that really gets me high. And that's you right here this morning, and you late last night. Come on, darling, give it one more try. What you gonna do when the rain comes down? What you gonna do if I stay around? Maybe cry or just laugh. I don't care what people say, I'm gonna love you anyway. Now what you gonna do about that? Now maybe it won't work out right, but I don't want to hear that tonight. Not tonight. What you gonna do when the rain comes down? What you gonna do if I stay around? Maybe cry or just laugh. I don't care what people say, I'm gonna love you anyway. Now what you gonna do about that? I don't care what people say, I'm gonna love you anyway. Now what you gonna do? Yeah, what you gonna do? Oh, what you gonna do about that?
We heard two pieces of music on River City Folk, beginning with Bob Weir, One More River to Cross. Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead, of course, and he was followed by my guest today, Dan Weber, who's doing a lot of new songs for us and a very catchy piece of music called What You Gonna Do. So that song just filled the space here at Artichoke Music in Portland, Oregon. Special thanks to Bob Howard, who has helped make this wonderful space available for music this past few years, and also to Gary Furlow, recording today's program and doing such a fine job as always. I'm your host, Tom May, and I'd like to say hello to all the folks who have listened to River City Folk for decades now in the capital city of Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, on radio station KZUM at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. It's been on that same time on KZUM for a long, long time. Thanks for tuning in to the program today. Dan, you're going to play a song that you're pretty well known for right now, and I'm going to have you introduce it in a second, but I should say that there are a number of stickers on the back of cars in this area of Oregon and Southwest Washington that have the sticker from your song on the back of them.
That's what I do at night since I don't have gigs anymore. I just go around putting stickers on people's cars. I mean, I bought 3,000 of them. So. I just typically I just, I just find the candidate that I least prefer, and I just put my sticker right over the top of theirs.
I'm going to be looking for you in the section where they list crimes one of these days.
The local nickel news. Yeah. I don't know. Actually, I think, come to think about it, I could just take my I Deal with Crazy All Day bumper sticker and put it next to the candidate I least prefers sticker, and it would all sort of make sense.
That's unfortunately very true. So this song has become really well known for you, and it's a real crowd pleaser at festivals and at all kinds of clubs that you perform at. When you first wrote this song, did you know you had a winner? Because you certainly do with this tune.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally talking to a customer service person. I said, "Can I ask you a crazy question?" They said, "Go for it. I deal with crazy all day." And I just wrote it down on a Post-it note, and it just tumbled like, "I deal with crazy," like it just bounced. I could already hear the cadence in my head, but I didn't know, like, I normally write songs without knowing what I'm going to write a song about. I usually get to the point at some point and then go, oh, that's what this is about. And then I have to re-engineer the song. In this case, I had the hook, and I don't normally write like that. So I walked around with that Post-it note in my wallet for like 6 months before I just went, well, just tell the story, man, This one goes out to... this one goes out to everybody. It's just like the 2020 theme song right here. It's called I Deal with Crazy All Day. Well, I paid last month right on the date, but now they say that I was late. Well, I know they're wrong, as I can plainly see. When they took my money, I called customer service on the phone. I said, there's been some mistake. I said, I know that sounds crazy. He said, no, it don't. I deal with crazy all day. Crazy all day long. Crazy, it's the same old song. I don't know why it's gotta be this way, but I deal with crazy all day. I was driving too fast like I sometimes do when I got pulled over that night. The cop said, do you know how fast you were going, son? I said, yeah, I think about 85, and it's no excuse, officer, but those cars were in my way. I said, I know that sounds crazy. He said, no, it don't. I deal with crazy all day. Crazy all day long. Crazy, it's the same old song. I don't know why it's gotta be this way, but I deal with crazy all day. Well, the world keeps spinning faster and faster. I'm going out of my mind. 'cause I'm too plugged in and I'm too wound up. I want off of this ride, I want off of this 2020 ride. Well, I never felt it coming, never saw nothing, everything was going just fine. I was walking down the streets of old Portland, Oregon, and I saw this flash of light. Next thing I know, I'm standing there at the pearly gates. Well, St. Peter, this is crazy. He said, no, my son, I deal with crazy all day. Crazy all day long. Crazy, it's the same old song. I don't know why it's gotta be this way, but I deal with crazy all day. Well, I don't know why it's gotta be this way, but I deal with crazy all day.
Dan Weber, ably assisted by Michael Henchman on bass and harmonies with one of his signature tunes, I Deal with Crazy All Day. Dan, one of the things that artists do when they're climbing through the ranks is opening acts. And you've done a number of them in this past few years since your first album has come out for folks like Ian Tyson and Ramblin' Jack Elliott and some others too. Is there a situation that sticks in your mind that was just kind of odd or funny or quirky? Because it's tough to go out there, isn't it, and sit for a stand-up for 20 minutes and do your tunes and try to do your best, but not get in the way of the person who's coming on after you.
Yeah, and not be sort of in awe of him either. I mean, just looking down at like Ian Tyson's set list, and then, but I got to I snuck back up on stage behind the mains there where no one could see me, and got to hang out on stage when he played Four Strong Winds for the encores. That was pretty darn cool. And I got to open for Ramblin' Jack in a privately train car, like a passenger car, down in Portland's Union Station there. And I got to open for Jack, and I played a song called Do You Ride Horses? And Jack sort of instantly decided that he was going to tell me everything he knew about horses and rodeo that evening after the show. And at some point about 2:30 in the morning, the folks running the tour were like, Dan, we have to kick you out now, because if we don't, Ramblin' Jack will stay up all night talking about horses and rodeo. And we're sorry, but he's got to get some sleep, you know? I was like, oh, it was great. It was, anytime you get to hang out with Ramblin' Jack for 3 hours and talk about rodeo is pretty cool.
You'll talk about lots of different things.
Yeah,
just Ramblin' Jack for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. He told me this one great story. He said, Dan, the worst tour I was ever on was 1972. And then he said it was a tour of it was a tour of Australia and Europe, and he was opening for Cat Stevens, and he did this 28-minute long story about the things that happened in the tour, and it sounded all pretty great, you know. And I said, Jack, why was this the worst tour you were ever on? He said, because the whole time I was being followed by a moon shadow. It was like he was setting me up for the joke for 28 minutes.
You were set up, man.
It was he's a...
You brought in another recording for us to hear, and when I listened to the music of this man, I was very taken with his delivery and this song. It's a fellow by the name of Hayes Carl, and again, I was totally unaware of him and his work, and the song is called The Love That We Need. What is it about this song that you enjoy so much, and where did you encounter this guy?
I'm trying to think where I encountered... I met him once, also about 4 a.m., outside a motel room in Vermont, I think. But it's... I don't remember where I first got turned on to him, but I liked his stuff immediately. He's very literate, and he's very funny. And he's got a cool, sort of quirky voice. And I think he's from Houston or Galveston or someplace like that. But so I started following him around and just listened to his music. And this was one off of his more recent records. And that song in particular, I was riding my 1977 twin Schwinn Varsity around the neighborhood, and I heard this song, and I was like, oh, that guy's singing my song right now. And that one spoke to me.
You say I love you, I say me too. We don't think much about it, it's just a thing that we do.
They left Oklahoma in the grapes of wrath. In the Dust Bowl days, they never looked back. Oh, they never looked back, but they're moving again. California's no longer the promised land. Oh, Woody, where are you now? What would you say? Oh, Woody, where are you now? We can sure use you today. We're willing to work, there's no work to be done. Illegal or union, it don't matter none. 'Cause the Wall Street bankers, the corporate greed, they shipped all the jobs overseas. Oh, Woody, where are you now? What would you say? Oh, Woody, where are you now? We can sure use you today. Now there's drought in the plains and there's fires out west. It was the hottest summer on record, I guess. With a cough in their lungs, dry tears in their face. It's looking more and more like those Dust Bowl days. And I can still hear Woody, his guitar in hand, singing songs for the men on the Grand Coulee Dam. Singing, this land is your land, this land is mine. Oh, Woody, we sure miss you tonight. Now I'm living out here in the great Northwest. So long as it rains, may we be blessed. And it's long live the salmon, long after we're gone. Then it's roll on Columbia, Columbia, roll on. Oh, Woody, where are you now? What would you say? Oh, Woody, where are you now? We can sure use you today. Oh, Woody, where are you now? We can sure use you today. We can sure use you today. We can sure use you today.
We heard two pieces of music in that set, beginning with Hayes Carll, The Love That We Need. That was followed by my guest today, Dan Weber, with another of his signature songs, a tune called Oh Woody. You are listening to River City Folk, a weekly broadcast of live performance musical influences and interview from Talkeetna, Alaska to West Palm Beach, Florida. This week, this beautiful afternoon, in the very, very accommodating confines of Artichoke Music in Portland, Oregon. Dan, this week I enjoyed so very much each one of the recordings that you brought in for us to hear. And this one, even though I'm pretty familiar with James McMurtry, I wasn't familiar with this tune, and I was blown away by the succinct yet very eloquent song of his, which is called Ain't Got a Place. When did you stumble across this one?
I guess I bought the record maybe 2 years ago. And it's really, it's like a kin in the folk tree of I ain't got a home in this place anymore, place in this world anymore. It has that same sort of vibe to it to me. And it's also, he's also talks about rivers a lot in that one, and rivers have been on my mind a lot. It's a simple song, but it feels like you just want to keep singing.
The skies are taller in Louisiana. The skies are wider in New Mexico. The skies in Texas kind of split the difference. They don't suit me no matter where I go. I ain't got a place. I ain't got a place in this world. I ain't got a place.
You are listening to River City Folk. We heard James McMurtry there with a memorable song called Ain't Got a Place. We've been talking about Woody Guthrie this last few minutes on the program, so it seemed only appropriate, particularly with the news of the day and the ongoing crisis on our southern border, as well as on our northern border these days, that we do this great old song by Woody Guthrie. So if you know the chorus, whether you be sitting in Omaha or whether you are anywhere where you hear folkmusicnotebook.com on the internet, please join us on this famous piece of music by Woody Guthrie, Deportees.
The crops are all in and the peaches are ripe. The oranges piled in their creosote dumps. Flying them back to the Mexican border, pay all their money, and wait back again. My father's own father, he waded that river, took all the money he made in his life. My brothers and sisters come work in the fruit trees. They rode the big truck till they took down and died. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita. Adios mis amigos, Jesus and Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees.
Some of us are illegal and others not wanted. Our work contract's out, we have to move on. 600 miles to the Mexican border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers and thieves. We died in your hills, we died in your deserts. We died in your valleys, we died on your plains. We died neath your trees, we died in your bushes, both sides of the river, we died just the same.
Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita. Adios mis amigos, Jesus and Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees.
The sky plane caught fire over Los Gatos Canyon. A fireball of lightning shook all our hills. Who are those friends? How scattered like dry leaves. The radio says they are just deportees. Is this the best way we can grow our big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow our good fruit? Where are our friends, scattered like dry leaves? Be called by no name except deportees.
Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita. Adios mis amigos, Jesus and Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All I will call you will be deportees.
Once more.
Bye to my one, goodbye Rosalita. Adios mis amigos, Jesus Maria. Won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees.
I could hear folks singing all over the United States, helping us out on that classic piece of Woody Guthrie music, Deportees. My guest today has been Dan Weber, and he's being helped out by Michael Henchman on stage on bass and harmonies. Dan, you've got a website where people can find out what you're up to, and like all of us, it's been a difficult few months, but I have no doubt that we're going to get on the other side of this eventually, and you'll be out there on the road again. So where can they look up and see where you're at?
You could find me at Dan Weber Music. That's Weber with one B, like the grill in your backyard. And as just so everybody knows, the last time a pandemic ended, the Roaring '20s happened, like a decade-long party. So buckle up.
And Dan's CDs are all available on his site as well, of course. You've got one more song to sing for us today, Dan. What is this last song called?
It's called Call It a Night.
Good song to finish up with.
Yes, this is my normal closer. It's my thank you to all the people working the joint, helping me put a show on. Oh, the bartender's yelling last call again. I think she means it this time. She's been on her feet all night long. Just watching her's making me tired. And I'm holding on to one song at a time, just trying to play it right. Then I'm 200 miles down the road, so I think we should call it a night. Oh, the crowd came and went, paychecks got spent, the drinks ebbed and flowed. Some listened a while, some didn't and left. A few even laughed at my jokes. And the guy in the corner who stayed all night, hey, thanks for making the show. Sometimes there's just one is enough. Hell, it's better than singing alone. 'Cause I'm holding on to one song at a time, just trying to play it right. And I'm 200 miles down the road, so I think we should call it a night. And I think that it's some kind of trick, how the night goes by so quick. Well, it's been a good ride, but I must confide, some nights I think I should quit. See the guy working sound, $20 says he plays guitar better than me. That he's lived in a van and he's been in 6 bands, so he's paid that price to be free. So he knows what it's like to be a stranger each night and how lonely that can be. Tonight for next to nothing, he made me sound like something. So I'd like to tip my hat to thee. 'Cause I'm holding on one song at a time, just trying to play it right. Then I'm 200 miles down the road, so I think we should call it a night. Yeah, the bartender's yelling last call again, and I think we should call it a night.